So we got a tip from a friend that there is vaccines here in Chal Shlomo, and they're vaccinating people under 50. So we thought to give it a try.
These young and middle-aged people don't have an appointment, but they've come to this clinic in Tel Aviv hoping to get vaccinated against COVID-19.
I was really nervous to get vaccinated, and we got it.
While in most countries around the world, you have to be part of a priority group to be vaccinated, Israeli clinics have been giving out any remaining doses to the general public after the day's scheduled appointments end for priority patients. This strategy is one of the reasons Israel vaccinated a greater share of its population than any other country, more than 20% in just a few weeks, way ahead of the US and European countries that also have much larger populations. The country hopes to immunize a majority of its population by early spring.
Right now, what we see is a race. On one hand, we have the virus spread spiraling out of control. On the other hand, we have the vaccination campaign going very quickly.
Weeks after the program started, demand was so high, some clinics had no extra doses left at the end of the day, and sometimes turned people away.
ואם אתם בכל זאת מחכים, אז רק בבקשה, נתראה כמו כולם, נעבור את הקו הלבנים הזה.
It's always good to try your chances, and that's why I hope for. But sometimes you get unlucky, but there's always a tomorrow.
We wanted to know, how does Israel's program work exactly?
הערב אני נרגש לבשר לכם על פריצת דרך אדירה. פריצת דרך שתוציא אותנו מהקורונה ותחזיר אותנו לחיים.
Netanyahu announced that Israel had secured enough doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech shot to vaccinate everyone over 16 by the end of March. Although this max vaccination campaign alone is unlikely to eradicate the virus, this timeline sets Israel apart, as other Western nations have fallen behind schedule. In the US, the vaccination of the elderly and essential workers alone is expected to take several more weeks. One reason Israel has been able to vaccinate so much of its population so quickly is that it's a relatively small country with a population similar to that of New York City. Israel has transformed stadiums and other venues into mass vaccination centers. Israel also has a technologically advanced universal healthcare system in which everyone in the country is legally required to be registered. Unlike the US, where there's a patchwork of public and private coverage, Israel's digitized system has helped streamline the process for those who have an appointment, including high-risk and priority patients over 60.
Every member set an appointment in advance, and it's already scheduled for 2 appointments, for the first dose and the second dose 21 days later. Now, he comes here, and the exact time and hour that we asked him to come, he uses his card and pulls out a number, and then someone will take him to one of the stations. And in the station, the nurse will document everything: his name, his ID, and the number of the bottle, and even in which of the arms he's going to get the vaccination. And then she will do the vaccination, and he will wait for about 15 minutes at the other side of this compound.
At the start of the vaccination campaign, Israel's program ran into big issues, and many vaccine vials had to be thrown away. Israel bought 8 million doses from Pfizer, paying a premium for early shipments, as well as 6 million vaccines from Moderna and 10 million from AstraZeneca. When the Pfizer vaccine first arrived in Israel, hundreds of doses had to be dumped due to lower than expected turnout. That's because the BioNTech Pfizer vaccine must be administered within 5 days after leaving the main storage facility, where it must be kept at ultra-cold temperatures, as low as minus 112 degrees Fahrenheit. After the vaccine dump, authorities began dividing some vaccine packages into smaller shipments for more isolated areas, making for more efficient distribution. Professor Baylor is the Chief Innovation Officer for Clalit, Israel's largest healthcare organization, and he's helped advise the Israeli government on its vaccine strategy.
We have given the full permission to every delivery point. Once they get to the point in which the tray of vials is about to become need for destruction because of the time limits and the cold chain requirements, they are not only allowed, we want them to go ahead, find anyone, bring them in, and put a shot in the arm. So no vaccine would go to waste.
The vaccines are now in high demand, and thanks to the latest shipment of vaccines, the country is set to start opening up new appointments to even more people.
I think one of the key challenges we have right now is we have no means to get vaccines to the houses of people who are bedridden and cannot leave their home. What we've tried to do until now was to vaccinate their key caregivers.
The vaccination program comes at a critical time for Israel, which early in 2021 had one of the world's highest infection rates, and fatalities were on the rise as it entered a third lockdown. There's also the challenge of vaccine acceptance, with ongoing skepticism over the shots and government initiatives in some parts of the population. Still, here in Tel Aviv, many people have shown up hoping to get vaccinated as soon as possible.
I came here tonight to trying to get the vaccine for the COVID. And I want to travel, see world, and starting my life like I wanted to, and not to stay out in quarantine in my house.